Birds of Prey issue 5, Legacy number 203, Kelly Thompson writing with Arist Den on the art. I'm probably butchering that name, so apologies. So yeah, different artist on this issue, which I was prepared for because I saw Kelly Thompson tweeting about it. So that's not to say that the art is bad, though. I actually think the art's pretty solid.
I don't like the faces.
That's fair.
The faces are very samey. However, with the way I saw people complaining about the art, I was ready for like Riley Rosmo style body contortions and weird breakdowns. But outside the faces, everything's pretty solid. You know?
Obviously, we really like the Romero art that was there before, and obviously we're looking forward to that being back. But because I saw Thompson say, this book's from a different perspective. I went in thinking it was going to be more different than it was, but it just kind of felt the next chapter to me. I didn't really get that sense. But so the big god thing is woken up. Megara, thank you, because I was not going to remember that name. So the birds are all fighting the vines that are all coming from it, and they're all talking about how weird it is. Zealot stays back to fight on a bunch of Amazons. There's a cool little moment here where she cracks her neck as if like, all right, it's go time. So that's decent fun. But Sin's inside Madeira, so she's inside all the vines, or Megara, sorry. She's inside all the vines, and Megara's talking to her, and there's a whole big bit here actually that's really good where Dinah basically falls to her knees and is like just lost. Hopeless. because she thinks she's lost. She thinks Sin's gone for good now. And the others are trying to pep her up and say, it's not over yet, we can still save her. And there's a fun bit here where Harley tries to give her a pep talk and then gets harsher, and then when she realizes that's not working, she slaps her in the face, which makes the rest of them all kind of turn and be like, hey, Harley, what the hell? But that actually works and gets Dinah back up. It's only 2 pages, but it's a really fun couple of pages. I especially like the joke where Harley says, don't ask Cass about this. You can't get that one to shut up once she starts talking. I got a good chuckle out of that.
I like that. And then when she slaps Dinah, it's Barda and Cass at the same time saying Harley. So just the fact that, still Thompson's continuing their connection, that's going through there.
Yeah. So... we actually go inside and like have Sin talking to Megara, and Megara basically wants to take over her body, but she's not done it yet. There has to be a ritual or something that's going to come up that the actual transfer will happen. But Megara basically mocks her for having a shitty, boring life. Like, look at this. Like, you read, you train a little bit, you go to sleep, then you read, you train. Oh, time for another nap. She basically says, you're wasting your life anyway. I might as well take your body because I'll actually do something with it. People will fear us. They'll worship us. So that goes as the others are trying to find a way to get inside, and it ends up being a combination of Barda holding the vines open and Canary screaming her lungs out into the abyss of the vines. So Canary gets in and reunites with Sin, and it's a whole thing. But yeah, there's a lot of good action in this. There's basically you've got all the stuff with Zealot. Cass ends up finding her after she's been put down, and that's when Maps shows up from the future and is like, and there's a good bit here where you see the shadow and they're like, oh no, we've got a problem, and like look at her eyes, she's been taken over by Megara, and of course you turn the page and it's Wonder Woman. So, but I actually really like the payoff to this because like they're fighting Wonder Woman, right? And there's a point where Zealot realizes, oh wait, it's Wonder Woman's body, but it's not actually Wonder Woman who's fighting, and it turns out Megara's nowhere near as good. So she actually is doing quite a job fighting her. So I thought that was a fun little bit. It's like, oh yeah, she's taken over Wonder Woman, but she doesn't know how to fight like her. So the actual fight's not as bad as you would think it is.
And I like it with Meridian. So Zealot tells Cass to run, and Cass is like, not without you. And they both, it's a really cool panel where Wonder Woman's coming down the stairs and Cass has her like bolo thing. Like, I don't know what exactly it is. Yeah, I guess it is a bolo because it's on this page. And Zealot has the sword, right? But then Meridian pops up and does some, future-y stuff with the jumping. So it's stuff. So I still don't understand Meridian's power set. Like, I know she can only be in a certain time, right? She has to have a stronger signal or whatever. But so she ends up popping back into place and tells both of them to go, and she'll handle Diana. And it does work. So,
oh, sorry. Yeah, it was actually Barda who said the line about Wonder Woman, like, her fighting
yeah,
without Wonder Woman's mind is very different. That's
yeah.
the upside to her being possessed. It's a really fun page actually, because you get like the four birds, because Diana's obviously inside the vines with Sin, but the other four are all fighting various Amazons and Wonder Woman. So it's this great page where it's kind of them on all different parts of the page.
Yeah, and this
fights.
is where when I saw people complaining about the art, I'm like, I don't have an issue with any of this. Like, it's chaotic, but in a good way, and you're getting all the vines surrounding the panels, right? To kind of represent that Megara is kind of everywhere, and is it still an imminent threat? And I'm just like, no, this is working, like,
I don't
still
like
good storytelling.
I don't like it as much as the regular artist, but I still think this is perfectly solid art.
Yeah, definitely.
It definitely has that sort of like you say, the sort of puckered lips look a little bit too often maybe on the faces, but
yeah.
Overall I'd say it's aesthetically kind of pleasing.
That page that you're talking about where Barda says, turns out there's a possession, or there's an upside to the possession. You just look at that page and all of the birds are doing something. There's almost like you can see the steps of the dance that's going on, like the choreography here. And that is very good artistic storytelling to me anyways.
Yeah, there's pacing to it, despite the fact that there's not actually panel gaps or anything like that.
Right. So, it's real, it gets going. And just, so the stuff here with what is it? Megara. Yeah, that's just how we're saying it, because I had to pull it back up. Megara. So she is a goddess, right? Or did we decide that she's the goddess of vengeance along those lines?
I don't remember what we decided, but she is a god, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it would make sense that the Amazons kind of have her not trapped, but kind of put away on Themyscira. So I do like that. That's another story point, that once you start to realize what Megara wants to do, it makes sense why she was there and able to kind of get control.
Yeah, there's a lot here where she's basically sort of mumbling to herself, oh, I made a mistake talking to you because you think it's a choice, it's not a choice. And then when Dinah comes in, she's like, I let you speak to your sister before this happens. I'm regretting, my niceties. And then the book ends with Dinah throwing up a bunch of little balls, which I think are explosives that detonate on her scream, because she throws them up in the air. She calls them banshees. And then she screams, and then you just see all these little explosions going off around, and that's the end of the issue. So, I mean, if I ever critique, it's maybe that I don't know if it feels like it does build to an ending. It feels like it just kind of suddenly, that's it. Oh, that's the end of the issue. So maybe that's a slight critique that I would levy at it. But I enjoyed the fight. I enjoyed the banter between the characters. I think through these action beats, Zealot's grown on me a little bit more. Harley's got some funny lines. Cass is always this great presence to have, and obviously Barda's a hoot at the best of times. So no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the build up to Wonder Woman showing up and their fear that they're going to have to deal with her. Generally enjoyed the art. I almost said genuinely. That's not what I meant to say. I generally enjoyed the art. I do think, sometimes we got the puckered lips on the mouths a little bit much, but for the most part, I think the coloring's very nice and pleasing to the eye. All the stuff inside the vines is all nothing but green, basically. But then when you go to the actual fights, all of the red capes or the red and black of Harley's outfit or Zealot, they all pop really well. So the fights look very colorful and very full of different, vibrant colors. And
I do like it kind of shocks you. So if you're reading this in a trade and you get to this, you go from the Romero art to this art, it is going to feel like a big, there's been a shift. And I think when you're reading the story as a whole, that's going to be kind of a welcome change of pace, especially that this is not that it necessarily changes the perspective of Megara, but it does give a different, what's the word? I don't want to say perspective. I just said it wasn't that. but it does. It gives it a different vibe compared to what we'd had, which was kind of more heisty, them going through Themyscira. It was much more action oriented. To here, it almost takes its time, even though the action scenes are good. There's a lot more stopping and talking and, Megara talking through their plan. So I think it was a welcome change. Like, again, I don't know if I'd want this art all the time, but in a one-off story, I think it's fine.
I mean, do you think it's just a one-off?
Yeah, I think so, because isn't Romero coming back?
I mean, I'm sure they are. I'm just not
Yeah.
sure if it's a one-issue thing or like a 2 or 3 issue thing. I have no idea.
We'll find out.
But I think the argument is though is if like the art change goes along with the world being or the Themyscira being surrounded by these vines, that technically maybe the last couple of pages of the previous issue should have actually been when the switch happened. But I mean, maybe that's just nitpicking at that point and whatnot. But the simple fact is, the artist needed to have an issue or two off to keep ahead, and that's just a reality of comics. It's just a case of how you handle it. But,
yeah, so it's according to League of Comic Geeks, Birds of Prey 6 is back with Leonardo Romero.
Okay.
So, yeah. So again, like a little brief interlude into things. I'm perfectly okay.
Yeah, I'm not convinced the issue feels different enough to feel that the art style change, like, feels thematically justified. But it's just a necessity of an ongoing comic book these days that sometimes you have to have a fill-in artist. And I think you could do much worse than the artist we have here. So, all right, what were you giving Birds of Prey issue 5?
I'm gonna give this a solid 8.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it an 8 as well. I think it's in that ballpark. I just love the vibe of a Kelly Thompson book. There's something about the characters bouncing off of each other that I always just feels like comfort food to me.
Yeah, Kelly Thompson is very good at those group dynamics because it's the part that, as much as I love her Kate Bishop book, she has a really good voice for Kate. It picked up with West Coast Avengers. When she started introducing all the other characters and the dynamics between them, that's really when I enjoyed the Thompson writing. So I look forward to more of it at DC.